Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Students, this is the marking scheme of creative writing section 2 paper 1, that is writing, and this is the marking scheme. On the top of the marking scheme it is mentioned that the sentence structure varied for particular effect. This is the expectation of the examiner in the marking scheme. Your sentence structure should be varied to give a particular effect on the audience, to give a particular effect on the reader, to involve the reader into your writing, to make your writing more interesting, to make your writing more gripping, more fascinating. You need to use the varied sentence structure. So in order to use the varied sentence structure, we need to know what is a sentence structure. Today's lesson is going to be on sentence structures, and I have already told you, I just told you the reason why sentence structures are so important, because they are the expectations of the examiner in the marking scheme, as you just saw. So if you do not vary your sentence structure, varying your sentence structure means you are using all types of sentence structures. Now let's see what are and why do you use the varied or all types of sentence structures. To give the particular effect on the audience, on the examiner. Now see what are sentence structures. There are three types of sentence structures: simple sentence structure, compound sentence structure, and complex sentence structure. First we will start with the simple sentence. A simple sentence has one independent clause. What is a simple sentence? A simple sentence has one independent clause, that is subject, verb, and a complete thought. Remember that an independent clause has a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. Although dependent clause also has a subject and a verb, but dependent clauses do not have completed thought, whereas independent clauses have completed thought. Now see the examples of independent clauses. The roses smell sweet. There is a subject, there is a verb, and there is a complete thought. The workmen seem tired. There is a subject, there is a verb, and there is a complete thought. In this sentence, he hesitated and agreed to the suggestion. In this case, there is one subject and there are two verbs and a complete thought, of course. So it means that a simple sentence can have one subject and more than one verb. As you can see in this sentence has more than one verbs: hesitated and agreed. Similarly, as a simple sentence can have more than two verbs, it can have more than one subjects as well. As you can see in this example, she and her mother, these are the two subjects. Went is the verb for shopping. So a simple sentence can have one subject, more than one subject, one verb, or more than one verb, but it must have a complete thought. So this is an independent clause, and these are the simple sentences which has one independent clause. Now see, what are compound sentences? Since simple sentences have one independent clauses, compound sentence has two or more independent clauses joined together by coordinating conjunctions. We all know what are conjunctions, and to tell you more about what are coordinating conjunctions, these are the coordinating conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. For, and, nor, but, no, or, yet, and so. These are the coordinating conjunctions. These join the two sentences. So what is a compound sentence? It has two or more independent clauses. I've just told you what an independent clause is, and they are joined together by coordinating conjunctions, which I just told you what are they. For example, there are two sentences. John went to the kitchen. This is an independent clause. Why is it an independent clause? There is a subject, there is a verb, and there is a complete thought. He made breakfast. This is also an independent clause because there is a subject, there is a verb, and there is a complete thought. And when we combine these two independent clauses, they will become a compound sentence. John went to the kitchen, and is the coordinating conjunction that we are using to combine these two sentences. And made breakfast. This is a compound sentence because it has two independent clauses joined together by coordinating conjunction. And more examples of compound sentences are: he played the whole day, he was not tired. He played the whole day is an independent clause. There is a subject, there is a verb, and there is a complete thought. He was not tired is also an independent clause. There is a subject, and there is a verb, and there is a complete thought. And when we combine these two sentences, he played the whole day, yet he was not tired, this will form a compound sentence. Now let's see what is a complex sentence. Number 3. Complex sentences, these are composed of an independent clause and a dependent clause. These are composed of an independent clause and a dependent clause. What is an independent clause? I've always told you: complete thought, subject, verb, and a complete thought. What is a dependent clause? Which has a subject, which has a verb, but does not have a completed thought. Now see the examples of complex sentences. When the train arrived, this is one clause. Everyone boarded. When the train arrived is a dependent clause because although it has a subject, it has a verb, but it does not have a completed thought. When the train arrived, there is not a completed thought. बात पूरी नहीं हुई है. Second clause is everyone boarded. Everyone boarded is a dependent clause. Why is it a independent clause? Why is it an independent clause? Because everyone subject, and it has a verb, and it has a completed thought. Everyone boarded. It's complete baat hai, complete thought. But when the train arrived is not an independent clause. This is a dependent clause because there is no completed thought. And when these two clauses are combined, one the dependent clause, the other the independent clause, such sentences are called complex sentences. Other examples are: since he has not passed the exams, he can apply for the job. Since he has passed the exams, this is a dependent clause because although it has a subject, it has a verb, but it does not have a completed thought. He can apply for the job. This has a subject, has a verb, and a completed thought. This is an independent clause. So here again two clauses are joined in here. It is called a complex sentence. One is a dependent clause, the other is an independent clause. She could not participate in the race because she was sick. Now again, it has two clauses. She could not participate in the race. This is the independent clause. In this sentence, the independent clause has been placed first. In the previous two sentences, the dependent clause was placed first. When the train arrived is a dependent clause. Since he has passed the exams is a dependent clause, but she could not participate in the race is an independent clause because she was sick. This is the dependent clause. So it is a complex sentence because it has a dependent clause as an independent clause. Then because she was sick, she could not participate in the race. This is the same sentence I have varied. In the second example, because she was sick, I have put the dependent clause first, and then the independent clause. In the previous sentence, first I placed the independent clause, then the dependent clause. And as you can see that whenever we place the dependent clause first, we separate the sentences. Whenever we place the dependent clause first, as you can see when the train arrived, we separate the sentences, we separate the clauses with the comma. But when we place, like in this case, she could not participate in the race, but when we place the independent clause first and then the dependent clause first, we do not separate the clauses with the comma. I am repeating it. Whenever we place the dependent clause first and then the independent clause, we separate the clauses with the comma, like this. But whenever we place the independent clause first and then the dependent clause, we do not separate the complex sentences, we do not separate the clauses in the complex sentence with the comma. So this is the sentence structure. This is the three types of sentences that we have in the sentence structure. That's it for now.